Hey everybody, have you considered starting a podcast? We here at Screwball highly recommend Podbean for getting your podcast out to a larger audience. Podbean has given us the opportunity to easily bring you Screwball each and every week on all of your favorite podcast services. Use the link podbean.com/screwball to sign up and save up to 35% annually. You can also use the link podbean.com/pro/screwball to sign up for a business subscription. Happy podcasting. Hey everybody, welcome back to Screwball, a baseball podcast, your home for everything baseball. I'm your host, Mike Lepre, here with my co-host, Frank White.
Hey, how's it going?
And this is episode 127 of Screwball. A lot of the updates that we had last week are still pertinent this week. We are still seeing some history in this 2022 season, some very cool stuff from an aging star and a young star in the game. So we have that, plus some other news around baseball. As we continue our countdown to the playoffs, I believe we're about 9 games out from the playoffs or so. About, this time next week, we'll be staring down the barrel of it. So let's lead off with the news as we usually do, but as we have in the last week or so, let's lead off with some familiar news. So number one, obviously the biggest piece of news probably in baseball, St. Louis Cardinals legend Albert Pujols became the 4th member of MLB's 700 home run club. He did it on Friday night when he launched number 699 and 700 against the Dodgers. And he did it off Phil Bickford, I think is his name, the Dodgers reliever that came in. For all you trivia fans out there, you should probably remember that one. There is still, time left in the season for Pujols. He's got 700 now. He's got a few games left. Where does he finish? 701, 702, at 700, And you had mentioned it. I know we're both excited that he did. Everyone in baseball really is. But I know we had spoken a lot about how the COVID season affected him, and we were questioning if he could even get to 700. And he did with a little time to spare. Now you really look at it and you're like, boy, he was pretty close to Ruth. You take out that COVID season.
Well, yeah, COVID season cost him 5-6 home runs at least.
Yeah.
He played about probably 50 games, 55 games out of 60. You got to think he's going to play 120, 130 that year at least.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's at least 5, 6, 7, 10 home runs. And 20, 30 RBIs, which would put him right there for the RBI record, all-time RBI record. So that COVID season really affected his, numbers at the end of his career.
Yeah. Not to put a damper on it or anything, but, it is amazing. Just you don't really think about it, how much a season like that can make a difference. Because he didn't really get hurt too much in his career, and he had a great career. All in all, his first 10 years with the Cardinals are some of the best years you'll see.
It's the greatest 10 years anyone's ever put together consistently of all time.
Yeah, so, I mean, one of the best players ever to play baseball, 700 home runs, 3,000 hits, tops in RBIs.
And his stats, too, big round numbers for him. He has 500 career home runs against right-handed pitchers.
Wow.
Which leaves him with 200 on the dot against left-handed pitchers.
Wow, I didn't know that. A lot of those probably came this year and last year, because he was hitting more against lefties, and he was hitting them well. Yeah. So,
500 just against right-handed pitchers. The 500 club's exclusive.
Yeah.
He has 500 just against right-handed pitchers.
Against one side of the mound,
200 club, pretty exclusive.
Yeah.
Not everybody gets 200 home runs. Yeah, just against lefties, which you don't face all the time.
Yeah, not for nothing. I mean, you hit 200 home runs in the big leagues. You had a good career, in my eyes.
Yeah.
You had 200 home runs. What the hell?
You're past half the players.
Yeah, he got it.
Imagine, right?
Yeah, he just did it against lefties who were a little more rare, so what the hell? Congrats to Pujols. Who knows what what he'll actually finish at. Cardinals are staring down, NL Central title and playoff runs, so who knows what can... Yeah, so who knows what can continue for him in the season. I'm sure he'll have... if the Cardinals, who knows how far they make it, I'm sure he'll have his moment or two in October.
Yeah, he'll Brad Lynch somebody in the playoffs, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, so,
go nuts, Wainwright, throw a complete game, and all is well in the world.
Yeah, and you got him and Yachty retiring, and maybe Wainwright, and everything's set up for them, right?
So they win the World Series, and everything goes nuts, and that's how it goes.
Yeah. Yeah, so congrats to him. I'm glad he did it. Couldn't think of a more deserving guy in the league. Another guy that's just good for baseball, a good-hearted guy, and well-mannered, polite. Everything you'd want. Yeah, everything you'd want in a player, really.
Arguably the best right-handed hitter of all time.
Yeah.
One of the greatest hitters of all time. And his 10-year stretch is the greatest 10-year stretch anyone's ever put together.
Yeah, I mean, who do you put up with him, Hank Aaron? It's pretty much, you could almost stop there,
Yeah. So, yeah. And he did not request, nor want, nor care if he ever got the 700th ball either. Just like the 699 or 698 ball.
Wow.
He didn't care if he got it. He said he can keep it. If they want to give it to me, that's fine. If not, they can keep it. I don't care about it. They pay for the seats. They can keep it.
Wow.
So that was...
Even for the 700th, it's pretty impressive.
Yep.
You know?
So that's just what he does.
Wow. So, yeah, again, congrats to him and good luck with the rest of the year and the playoffs. So number 2, the other big player we've been talking about, Aaron Judge, giving Aaron Judge update. He does currently lead, as of recording this, he leads the AL in the Triple Crown categories. So home runs, RBIs, batting average. I believe he's in a virtual tie with Xander Bogaerts for the batting average lead coming into the game. But he had it by a few of the
decimal points. Yeah,
right.
You literally can't be a tie unless you have the same amount of bats and the same amount of hits. But
yeah, right.
For the 3 points that they go by, 3 decimal points. But you go farther than that, obviously.
Yeah, he has it.
Yeah.
So he currently sits at 60 home runs on the season. He's just 1 away from tying the AL home run, single season record, and he's 2 away from taking it for himself. He played 4 games at home against Boston. Everyone was kind of, you stopped and watched every at bat with him.
National TV.
Yeah.
Every time it came up, it was on national TV essentially.
And it was on Fox, ESPN, Apple TV Plus. So it was you could watch it anywhere. And the same thing as Pujols. It was kind of like you stopped and watched every time he got up. So he's still sitting at 60. He's got about, like I said, I think 8 or 9, 10 games left in the year. So it's kind of getting a little dicey for him. But that doesn't put down a 60 home run season or a Triple Crown season he's looking at too. So I mean, overall, still looking good for him. So maybe next week we'll come and say, oh, he broke it and he's got 65 or something nuts. The last piece of news I have here, unrelated to the 2 big guys we've been talking about, the Marlins announced on Sunday that their manager Don Mattingly will not return next year. So this ends a 7-year run as a manager. Some other teams who might be hunting down a new manager in the offseason are the Angels, Rangers, Blue Jays, Phillies, who they've, some of them fired their previous manager. I think all of them
White Sox.
During the course of the season. The Royals and White Sox could also be looking at managing roles depending on Mike Matheny and
Detroit was a befuddlement this year.
Yeah, so you have the health of Tony La Russa you kind of look at, and Mike Matheny and
pretty well.
Yeah, so Mattingly is a pretty good manager, I think, and could definitely fit into really any of those clubs. They could use all of those guys. Those clubs could use a manager like him. A little experienced, change of scenery. White Sox for some reason just couldn't figure it out with Tony La Russa. Just wasn't a match that worked. So we'll see. Yeah, so Mattingly stepping down.
I don't think Francona's come back next year.
Is that right? I know he had a little health scares
I think he's pretty
recently.
much going to retire here pretty soon because of his health and wanting to just enjoy. So there's a chance the Cleveland team's open.
Yeah, I mean you never know. Basically the whole AL Central at this point.
Yeah.
Jesus.
That's how that goes. So
yeah, so that's the 3 pieces of news I got. Kind of same as last week, but I mean that's everyone's all focused on Judge and Pujols. Now Pujols has done it. All the attention's I guess going to turn to Judge.
Yeah.
So.
And with that being said, you said that. One topic I wanted to bring up here was just expanded playoffs. Hasn't been good so far. This year, no. It really took a lot of playoff races out for the wild card. Reason being is right now 3 spots, and the Orioles are closest in the AL with 4 games back. If you only had 2 spots, you'd have 3 teams within a game and a half of each other fighting for 2 spots. With the Orioles being a 4th team, 4 to 5 games back, you go, okay, we got a race here down the stretch. And in the NL, if you took one off, you again would have 4 teams fighting within 2-3 games of each other for 2 spots.
Yep.
So I think if you took the spot off, I'm not saying it wasn't a good idea or bad idea. We had our expanded playoffs talk, as long as it didn't overexpand it. We were okay with it. Just that so far, it's kind of took the excitement out of the playoff races here down the stretch, which is kind of not what you want. With that being said, there's also going to be no tiebreaker games going forward anymore. I think starting next year. So if we tie at the end of the year, there's other ways to figure that out, but they're not going to do tiebreaker games. I believe I heard that. I'm not sure if it's official yet, but I have heard that's what the plan is.
Yeah.
We had Cleveland clinch the playoff spot, clinch the AL Central, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a national anthem standoff.
Yeah.
Where both Robbie Ray and Luke Weaver, I believe, got ejected from the game finally by the umpire for standing out there, which we always see, and it's just hilarious. And then it gets to the more hilarious level where they eject them.
Yeah.
That's just incredible. But then the last thing I got here is, quickly, it's not much, but our topic, and it's, the 700 number, or even the 600 number Pujols hit. Is it obtainable? How obtainable? And we're going to see it again anytime soon. Personally, 700, someone's going to get there, right? Eventually, someone
You think
gets there,
someone,
right?
yeah.
For the most part. Will we see it here in the next 10, 20, 30 years? Probably not. 600, I think you'll see. Not much, but I think you'll see. I think your guys who you really could see do it. Even in the 700, I'm not saying it's impossible for 700 because there's definitely some young guys.
Mm-hmm.
I just think 700 is really tough. 600, I think is tough, really tough too. But can we see him? Yes. And I think some guys you could look at who are ways away. But Soto, just because he, what's he, 5 years in? He's 24 years old.
Yeah, I actually pulled up just so we could have the hard numbers while we're talking about this. Soto and Acuna are about the same age. They have about 100 and some odd home runs each.
Yordan Alvarez has a smooth swing and a guy who could probably play 40 years old.
Yeah.
Just the way he plays baseball. Soto, maybe Acuna, they're going to break down Acuna, we already seen. Just because they play outfield and the way they play. They're hard-nosed guys, right? Yordan Alvarez seems to be more of a laid-back, DH kind of guy. He might be able to last a lot longer.
Yeah, Alvarez, I had previously seen trends because they beat the trend line as opposed to, just based off of whatever, just eyesight. They said that Yordan Alvarez has one of the best trends to get there right now.
Yeah.
Based on his age and how many home runs he hits.
These guys are so far away. Some guys who have a bunch of home runs already. Stanton, is he reaching 700? No. Is he reaching 600? I don't know.
He'd need 225 to get there. He's at 375 right now. So
I'm not going to say he's not for 600. 700, no. 600, I don't know. 500, I think is definitely possible. Arenado, I don't think he hits 600 home runs. Not quite the big home run guy, just kind of a 30 home run guy.
Yeah. 500 certainly within reason.
I think, 500 is reasonable. Trout, I think Trout could hit 600. I just think his health has been a lack in him. But he seems like a guy who his swing might last, where he could just kind of DH there towards the end of his career. But otherwise, you're really looking at some of these young guys, Julio Rodriguez. But it's just all their body's going to hold up.
Mm-hmm.
We already see them getting hurt, and we already see them, playing at this young age, and they're electric players. They do everything. 5-tool talents, Ken Griffey style guys, right? They're just electric. Did they hold up? We already seen Acuna kind of faltering, right?
Mm-hmm.
We already see Julio Rodriguez has a third injury already in his brief time. We already seen Tatis fall apart and cheat already, but again, his injuries. Do you see a guy who can? Are they going to last being that electric player? Or are they going to change their game to get there? Judge, is he going to get there? No, he's not hitting 700 home runs. No, he's not hitting 600 home runs. I don't know if he'll hit 500 home runs. He's already 30 years old.
Mm-hmm. He only has 218. He's 30. So
yeah. So, there's guys out there definitely can make that run at 600. At least make a run at it.
Yeah, when I scroll down here through the list.
Machado, I know is one they always talk about.
Machado, they talk about a lot. He's only got 200 something though, and he's about 30, 31. So it's just not that it's impossible. It's just tough for these guys. Like the ones I look at that we already mentioned. Soto has 124. He's 23, and Acuna has 118. He's 24. Harper.
I think Harper's definitely would have a shot at 600 just because he's another one. I feel like he could maybe swing longer than he can, play the field and stuff like that.
Yeah, he's actually he's on a better trend line than Machado.
Yeah. And Harper he could hit 50, 60 home runs in a year.
Oh yeah.
He could have that 1 year that makes up for a lot,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
he feels like the kind of guy who could swing it for a long time. Vlad Jr.
Yeah.
He's another one I think, he might be able to last a long time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because he's another guy who can slide into DH. He's already plays first base, so it's not going to beat up his body too much.
He just plays on a little bit of turf here in Toronto.
That's true.
But it's those guys. I'm not saying those electric guys can't do it. It's just it's hard for them to last 15, 20 years to do it and play at that electric level. We've seen Trout kind of fade away from stolen bases and stuff because of that. You just can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Some guys can. Some guys just can't do it for that long. Ohtani, no. I don't think,
No, he's
makes sense. He's already 30 years old, 28 years old.
Yeah, he's I saw him actually on this list I can't really. Here he is. He's got 127 home runs. He's 27.
Yeah, it's
So,
not happening.
I'm looking for ages here when I look at guys. Corey Seager, Rafael Devers, 25. He's got 139.
Devers has a
It's
chance.
a fair rate. Cody Bellinger
No, I don't think so.
he's only 26, got 150. So when you think of trend line with age, if he has a little bit closer years to his rookie year,
Yeah, Mookie Betts isn't quite the home run guy. So
no, he's right behind Judge, and he's a little younger, but they both have about the same home runs.
Yeah, I just don't think they're the home run guys. Jose Ramirez, I just don't.
No, I mean the highest guy on here that has the best chance is Trout. He has 347 and he's 30. Rizzo and Harper have 285 apiece. Harper's 29.
So like I said, 700 in the near future. No. 600 in the near future. You'll have a chase at it. 1, 2, 3 of these guys might chase after it. 500, I think these guys can. It's just also the fact that we talked about it the last couple weeks here for a while. The easiness to forget how good a player is quickly anymore. If you kind of have one bad year, you're kind of forgotten. All of a sudden, now you're almost like a platoon player for the most case. You kind of, all right, maybe 1.5 bad years. Where it used to be like, oh, you got 3, 4, 5 years. We know the player you are.
Yeah.
You don't really get that as much anymore. So that's gonna hurt people. Like I said, the electric game played by some of these guys, the stolen bases, the diving in the walls, the head first all the time, the bat narrow, doing a little bit of everything.
Right.
Which is such a great tool and great to see.
Mm-hmm.
The longevity that hurts.
Right.
You can't fault them. You love those players. It's just, it's hard to be longevity with those types of players. Look at Ken Griffey Jr. He was the same type of player, and his longevity just wasn't there. It just broke down. And he still put up 630 home runs, and he still played a long time, but it just wasn't the same. He broke down.
Mm-hmm.
Not many guys could really do that at an extended level.
Yeah, I mean, you look at top 10 home run guys for active home run guys are all, except for Trout, 34 and up. So you could have someone like Trout on here is 347. He's got a shot. Stanton looking at 500. I think he's staring down the barrel at 500. And then you look at Nelson Cruz and Miggy. They're 500. Miggy just got 500. He's 39. That's about it.
Yeah, he's not hitting anymore.
So you look at Paul Goldschmidt has 315, but he's 34.
So
there's I think you have to look at the younger guys now. You have to look at a Soto or like you said, a Julio Rodriguez is going off to a great start.
Well, you get the underdog guys, the Tyler O'Neills, who have brute strength. They could put together a couple 50 home run years, and they sneak right in there because they're young players. Or O'Neal Cruz is a great talent.
Yeah.
With the power he has, he seems like a guy who might be able to last a long time. It's just that's kind of where you're at. I mean, there's not much else to it. Freddie Freeman's not much of a big home run guy. I don't think he's gonna get maybe 500 if he's
No, he's got 291. He's 32, so
500 might be his chase there. So like I said, 700. I don't think we see that in a long, long time. 600, I think you have a chase at it. Maybe one or two of these guys maybe get there.
Yeah.
500, I think you have definitely a chase at it. Also, you just don't play every single day, even though that seems to be coming back with some of these guys. You just don't do it.
Right.
Still. So,
yeah, I agree.
Matt Olson, I think, has an outside chance of 500, maybe 600 home runs, just because he is that big home run guy. He is that first baseman, that style guy. So, otherwise, I just wanted to make that kind of our topic. There's not much to it. It's just the idea of how important 700 was, how unbelievable it was, and will we ever see it again? Sure, I think we'll see it again. It's just, will we actually see it again?
I don't know.
Like, us? I don't know. It might be 50 years. Might be 80 years old by the time it happens again. Will someone see it again? Will 700 be hit again? Yes, I think it will be. Will we actually see it with our eyes? I don't know. I can't guarantee that happens.
It's what, 4 people have 700 and 9 people have 600. So
and a lot of them were recent.
Yeah, you look at
A-Rod,
Sosa, A-Rod, Tomey, Pujols. Those are just 4
Bonds.
guys. Yeah, 5 guys in the 6 guys within the last talking 30 years of baseball. They played within the McGuire in that little 80s and stuff, but think about that. You have Ruth. For a while it was Ruth, Aaron, and everyone else. So we'll see though. I think 600 is within reach. You just need a home run guy to get 600, 700.
And have
I think
longevity.
500, like look at Miguel Cabrera, just longevity, playing good baseball,
Yeah.
being a somewhat home run guy, a little bit of an average guy
30
too.
home run guy.
Yeah, and he made his way there to 500 pretty comfortably. So I don't know if I could pick anyone specific out. I think Juan Soto's got a really good shot.
15
I
years
think,
of 30 home runs. Right?
Yeah.
That puts you almost at 500.
Mhm.
That's pretty much what Miggy did.
yeah, and in your prime, you have a 40 home run season, a 50 home run season.
Yeah, that's just 30 on the dot. You hit 33 this year, 34 this year, 35 this year, 40 one year, 38 one year, 32. All of a sudden that adds up. That takes 2-3 years off. You play 15 years of averaging 30 home runs, you're about 500.
Yeah.
500 and so. Right?
Right.
13 years of 30 is what? 490?
Yeah.
Because 10 years of 30 is 300. So 13 years would be 390.
Mhm.
So then you got 14's 420, 15's 450. So 15 years of averaging 30 home runs is 450. You start when you're 23 anymore, what these guys do in the majors, which is a normal number at this point in the majors, 23. You're 38 years old.
Yeah.
And you can play the longevity of guys, the ability to play deeper in your career is more there now.
Right.
Will these guys be able to play that long? I don't know. But the ability to now play longer with the DHs and people just staying healthier, longer. You see a lot more older guys, 37, 38, playing very well.
Yeah, look at Pujols. Look at, not for nothing, Nelson Cruz for a while was a very productive bat in the
Yuli
lineup,
Gurriel.
Yeah,
You know,
productive guys.
So you see them playing longer. Look at Verlander as a pitcher. So you see that, you can do it. So you have better chances of staying healthier. Just, being that exciting player is hurt. But 500 is definitely, you're going to see guys in the 500s. And you're going to see chases at 600. You're just not going to see chases at 700 and a lot of 600 chasers at this point.
Yeah.
But we have, if the guys are going to come up at 21 years old and put up 30 home run seasons at 21 years old, you will have, home run chases of 600 and 700 home runs. You have a couple years of 40 plus home runs in a 50 season home run season, and maybe 250 home run seasons, and a couple 40s, and then a couple in the mid to high 30s. All of a sudden, you're chasing it, and then you play an extra year or two when you're a little older and you're kind of a platoon player. You put up 15, 16 home runs. 2 years, all of a sudden you're right there. You're 500-600 home runs.
Yep, you're knocking at the door. And then who knows from there if you have 2-3 really good seasons and you hit quite a few more home runs. Then all of a sudden you are staring down the barrel of 600. So it's possible. It's definitely possible. And I think we have to look to the youth now. I don't think there's a lot of 30-some-year-old guys that have been in the league a while. I think we're getting, maybe Trout, but with his injury, I think he's
700, I think, is out for most of the older players at this point. 600, I think you could have a chance at it with Trout. And if Stanton has one of them 50 home runs years because he's still relatively young, he can hit that 50 home run and then another 40 home run season because he still can do that. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, 600, he's got a shot at.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but that's the importance of what we just seen.
Yeah, so
so it's incredible, it's unbelievable, and I think he's 14 home runs behind the actual home run king. No matter what anyone ever is going to say, Babe Ruth's the home run king, and it's never going to change.
Right.
So he's but that's incredible. That is incredible. First Dominican player or Latino player to do it. I think he was first one to ever hit multi home runs to do it, same game. So,
yeah.
He kind of has a bunch of everything. So.
Yeah, I'm just appreciate what we saw, what we're seeing with him, because his career's not quite over yet.
And I think he has the record for most home runs against a left-handed pitcher with 200.
Which is, it was record for most home runs against a lefty, record for most home runs against different pitchers.
Yep, he has that record. I think the one against lefties, I think he has, just because a lot of those high home run guys were lefty hitters.
Yeah, so you'd think, they're going to do it against a lot of righties, you'd think.
They'll probably find their way to 180 home runs against lefties or 150 home runs against lefties, but,
Right. Yeah, so, again, will we see 700? Probably not. Think about it, there's only been 4 in history, so,
It's the 0.001%.
and they were all of them were about 50 years separated almost, except for Pujols and Bonds was pretty close, but, Ruth to Aaron, Aaron to Bonds.
Separates from the start of their careers to, when the others,
when they actually did
from
it.
Ruth to Aaron, 40-year span between they started careers, just about. From Aaron to Bonds, about 40 years.
Yeah.
And from Bonds to Pujols, the start of his career, 20 years.
Yeah.
I don't know how exactly. Pujols was, 01? Bonds started his career in the 80s.
Late 80s, yeah, I think, right.
So 15, 20 years span there. So, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
See what the young guys do. It's up to them now,
Yeah.
Or so, who knows, there's someone not in the league, maybe they're in the minors right now, and they're cooking up something for us in the future. I don't know. You
Pete
never know.
Alonso.
Yeah, he's high on the list too.
He's a home run guy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we've seen that.
And he might have the longevity.
Hmm.
But again, we got to see. So those guys out there, it's just 700 is unbelievable, and it's just nothing.
Yeah.
Something about breaking records and joining clubs that exclusive, and then being a home run club for baseball and sports. There's nothing like a home run chase.
Mm. Right.
In all sports, there's nothing like it. There's nothing like the home run chase that brings the sports world together, like a home run chase.
Right.
It's just something about it. Oh, he's breaking the passing yards record. He's going to break the points in the season's record for basketball or something. Great. And it's cool. And it's historic. But the home run record has some sort of just deep roots in our country, in our lives, for home runs in baseball. That it's just unbelievable how it stops national news for a home run chase.
Yeah, absolutely. It's incredible. Everyone stops and watches. I know I did every time I track. With Aaron Judge, I'm tracking every at bat. With Pujols for a while, I was tracking every at bat. It's just something you don't want to miss. It's something you want to see, and just say I remember what I was doing, where I was when I watched it. Something how I watched it, whatever. So. Yeah. So again, congrats to Pujols, and hope everyone that watched it or experienced it was able to kind of soak it in, because we're not getting this all the time. This particular season. So yeah, I guess from there we can move on to the wrap up of the news with our typical who's doing the best right now. Again, copy and paste. Dodgers still on the best record in the league at 106-47, which I think was their record. They had 106 wins last year, so
who knows?
They're flying by it.
Keep
They have clinched the top seed in the NL, so they're pretty much done. Their season's just kind of coasting here.
tired of listening to it.
The Mets have the second best record at 97-57. Over in the AL, the Astros on the best record at 101-53. The Yankees have the second best record in the AL at 94-58. The Dodgers still on the best run differential at plus 322, and the Pirates on the worst at minus 228.
Yay.
So that is where we are
There's another
again.
job opening up. Actually, now you just said something. Isn't it? Dusty Baker's contract's not renewed for next year, right?
I think you're right. Yeah, I know he doesn't have any long-term thing, so he might be up or maybe one more season. I know it's right there.
Yeah, they'll sign him. Maybe they should sign him. Maybe it's smaller deals. So
Right.
another job opened up. Just thought about that. But some teams that got hot here recently: the Yankees, Cleveland, the Astros, Mets, Braves, and Padres, all playing pretty good baseball here of late. Some cold teams: the Red Sox. I believe the Red Sox was one more game. The best they could finish is 500, and 2 more losses. They cannot finish 500. So that's something to note there for a franchise like that. The Twins have been cold. White Sox, Mariners, Phillies, and the Pirates have been cold here of late.
Sounds about right. So moving on from there, let's move on to the who's hot and who's not section of the show with the hot and cold hitters. So this week, I believe Pete Alonso was he was like a co-winner of the, I believe Stephen Kwan won the AL Player of the Week. Pete Alonso, I think, was a co with Pujols probably.
And he broke the record for RBIs for Mets.
Yeah, that's right.
Single season.
Yeah, and I think Lindor was the first shortstop in Mets history to get 100.
Yeah.
I think they both kind of did it around the same time or in the same game. So, yeah, so I only have Stephen Kwan on here because he did have obviously with the Guardians doing what they're doing, he was a big help that with this, in this season. But number one I have here is Brian Reynolds, batted 500 over the last week with 1,000 slugging and a 1593 OPS. He's been really good lately. Number two, Randy Arozarena, helping the Rays down the stretch here, batted 500 with an 850 slugging and a 1438 OPS. Number three, Vinny Pasquantino for the Royals, batted 450 over the last week with a 700 slugging and a 1260 OPS. Number four, as I mentioned, Stephen Kwan, batted 429 over the last week with a 714 slugging and an 1162 OPS. And finally, number five, Andres Jimenez, batted 421 with a 737 slugging and a 1237 OPS. So big reasons Cleveland is where they are.
Yeah, some guys I got to add to that. JT Realmuto has been going nuts here over the last even couple months, but over the last week or two, he's been really hitting the ball good. Lindor playing well, like you mentioned, and Gleyber Torres has been playing pretty well.
Yeah, a lot better.
Some hot pitchers, throw some pitchers out there. Christian Javier has been pitching very well. I believe he broke the record for most consecutive quality starts.
Or was that Javier? Or was that the other guy?
Valdez?
Yeah, was it Valdez or was it Javier?
I don't
He's
know.
one of them fellas.
Yeah,
They got
Arthur
their whole
Ro-
rotation is the same
It's
person.
Arthur Rhodes and Darren Oliver conversation.
Yeah,
again, all over
that
again.
whole I just want to say that whole Astros rotation is the same person because they all do the same thing.
Yeah, it's
they all
6
just
innings and go.
Yeah, so they always give a quality start. They're not exactly the the Verlander's the different guy.
5 and fly, 6 and
Yeah,
fly. Yeah,
and they're going to give you a good start every time. All
once
of
in a
them.
while you'll get 7 or 8, maybe even 9
Yeah,
innings if you're lucky.
so it's one of them did
yeah,
it.
yeah. So, whatever. Baltimore, let's just put that way. They're pitching. Lyles with I believe a complete game, and Kremer.
Yeah.
And Kyle Bradish against the Astros, 8 2/3. So their guys are going nuts out there. Blake Snell pitching well, and Nestor Cortez ends up with a complete game shutout after the shortened, rained-out game, which is the Yankees' first complete game of the year.
Incredible. And you have Garrett Cole in your rotation.
Yeah, that's pretty. It's just dumbfounding. It's 6 innings it took for a complete game, especially as well as their pitching was beginning of the year. You'd think, boy, someone had
Yeah, someone had to
to pitch
because
9 innings.
I think for a week straight they had like everyone flirt with a perfect game. So what the hell?
Yeah, but you couldn't quite get 9 innings done. So,
No, I don't know.
but yeah, there was some hot pitchers I got here.
Yeah, some good names there. Let's move on to the cold players, the not players of the week. Number 1, I have Tommy
My
Ed.
fantasy team.
Yeah, there is one.
Just want to note that on the hot list there was I made it a point here. 1, 2, 3 guys on that hot list were the guy I played for the championship, and on the cold list there's 2 of my guys on there.
Yeah, and one of them is the first guy I got here is Tommy Edman. Batted 0.48 over the last week with an 0.43 slugging and a 163 OPS. Just came up right in time for.
I can't get too mad at
Frank.
him though. Edmonds, he was the man.
Yeah,
So,
no, I think there's the other fella that you probably got on there.
Oh, I can't. I have a whole year cold list. There's a lot of guys on my list here, but
Number 2, I got Josh Young. Batted 0.91 over the last week with a 136 slugging and a 303 OPS. Number 3, Carlos Santana, batted 0.91 over the last week with a 136 slugging and a 336 OPS. Number 4, Bryson Stott, who's been pretty good for the Phillies, batted 0.45 over the last week with an 0.45 slugging and a 165 OPS. And number 5, Christian Yelich finds his way back on the cold list, batted 0.45 with an 0.45 slugging and a 267 OPS.
yeah. Some other guys I got here: Jan Moncada, Mookie Betts, been cold here of late, and Brandon Drury. Obviously, there's some other guys, and you can even go into yearly guys. Just from the guys that you mentioned from my fantasy team. Matt Olson, yearly wise, has been relatively down. Juan Soto, terrible year for his stats.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's we can do if we really want to do yearly guys, we can really break that out. But maybe we do that towards the end of the year. But some pitchers here have been struggling of late: Kyle Gibson, Jose Barrios, Luis Castillo, even though he got the extension, got beat up here recently. Will Crowe got lit up for Pittsburgh, and Jake Odorizzi. There's some guys here on the cold list for the pitchers. The next thing I want to go into going into the end of these playoff races, and obviously the playoffs coming up, is some injuries to some of these teams and some of these players. We have Frankie Montas placed in the IL with his shoulder. Seems like that might have been bothering him ever since he got to the Yankees, because if you remember with Oakland, he hurt it there at the end.
Yeah, and he's been terrible with the Yankees, really.
Yeah, exactly. Wander Franco left the game with hand soreness again, but so not too worried about it. Luis Robert, IL with his wrist. He's shut down for the year. Julio Rodriguez placed on the IL. Dan Dunning getting surgery. He's done for the year. Ozzy Albies came back, broke his finger. That's why you don't slide head first. He's pretty much done till late in the playoffs at best.
Yeah.
Spencer Strider, oblique. He's not pitching and probably won't be pitching for the Braves until maybe late divisional series, if not national championship series if they get there.
Yeah, it's a big
blow.
big hit. Yeah.
It's a big blow. That's a guy who snuck his way into the Cy Young race, really. Nick Senzel, he's done for the year. Dustin May on the IL for the Dodgers. And Chris Bryant done for the year. He'll be coming back from Colorado. And as much as people said the Rockies, you hit more home runs, Chris Bryant finished this season with Colorado, his first year, with 0 home runs.
Wow, did he really?
Have it 0. Zip.
Jesus.
Not a single home run.
Holy crap.
Some guys on the better side are coming back. Nate Pearson for the Blue Jays is still on the verge of coming back. Nate Pearson just can't seem to be healthy, even though he's got some of the best talent you're going to see as a pitcher.
I know.
Tyler Glass now is supposed to be activated this week. What a comeback. And
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Big for him.
Big
for the
Glass
Rays.
Now. Big Glass Now fan, even though he's with the Rays. I'm a big Glass Now fan. Zach Britton is back
Yeah.
for the Yankees. That's a big move for them. DJ LeMahieu's hoping to come back here soon, but he's not really getting much better, they say. Plesac had a 5-inning, I believe, rehab start, so he should be on the verge here. Tim Anderson's probably not going to come back. Michael Kopech's probably not going to come back for the White Sox. There's really no point at this point.
No.
Eugenio Suarez is on the men's here coming back for the Mariners. We have Starler Marte is hoping to come back for the late season this weekend series against the Braves.
Mm-hmm.
Castellanos is going to skip a rehab assignment. He's going to come back the next couple days. Zach Wheeler did return. It was for a shorter outing, but he's back. So that's going to be good. Peralta for the Brewers was activated. Jordan Hicks should be coming back here for the Cardinals. Tyler O'Neill, they're starting to ramp up things, so they should both be back here pretty soon. Tony Gosling, they're hoping to get back pretty soon. And Charlie Blackmon, he left the game the one day. He's kind of been day to day. They don't really know what's going on with him, but I know he did leave the one game. He was kind of limping the whole game. I guess he was just trying to kind of fight through it, but they ended up taking him out of the game, and they gave him a round of applause in Colorado. So you just don't really know where his career is going to go at this point. Are you going to get rid of him? He's going to retire. He's kind of on that men's out there.
Right.
But it's something to take a look at for a very quality player for Colorado for some years now.
Yeah.
Other than that, that's all I got for the injury news. Not too terrible.
No.
Some of these guys can come back for their playoff runs or for the playoffs. Yeah, I mean, it's how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, there's guys on there that are not on a playoff team. There's no point in bringing them back. So just get them healthy for next season and hope for the best. So yeah, but there's other big names on there that are going to make a difference. Glasnow coming back, I think, is big for the Rays because if you can stretch him out for starts, great. If he ends up just being a few inning guy or a bullpen guy, you've got a
2-inning closer.
Yeah, you've got a big weapon out in Tampa Bay approaching the playoffs. So good for them.
Please, Zach Marte, Starler Marte.
Yeah,
those guys.
Eugenio Suarez was red hot prior to him getting hurt.
Strider, Braves.
Yeah, there's ones with big implications
May,
there.
Wander Franco, Julio Rodriguez obviously was like the key to the team. So
yeah, yep.
It's a lot there, but I don't think too much of it's too serious at this point.
No.
And then the last thing here, I know it doesn't really fit our topic or much for today, but I thought it was pretty amazing, really. But which player has committed the most errors in MLB history? And the answer is Herman Long, who made 1,096 errors in only 1,875 career games, which is about 4 errors for every 7 games played.
Yeah, pretty impressive.
That's unbelievable. It really is. And there's only been 4 players to ever have over 1,000 career errors. So when I seen that today, going through some stuff, I thought that was pretty remarkable, and then I had to bring it up. But yeah, Herman Long has the most errors in MLB history with 1,096 errors, and the biggest thing is in only 1,875 games. I'm not saying 1,000 errors, only 4 people have it, so that's a relatively high number. But only 1,875 games. 58% of the games you had to make an error in.
I just the guy that's in second, Bill Dahlen, Dahlen. He committed 16 less errors, but played in 5,000 more innings. I'm sorry, 5,000 more innings.
5,000 more innings, which is probably 1,000 more games or so. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure.
And he had 16 less errors. He played 5 more seasons based on this, how many seasons they played.
And 16
and
less
he had
errors.
16 less errors. So that's how what trend old Herman Long was on.
Yeah, and and that's even high.
Yeah, and that's still high, and it still didn't reach number 1. So
he probably made an error in like 40% of the games.
Yeah,
Herman Long was like 58.8% of the games. 58.4% of the games he made an error at that point.
That's rough being out there. You keep running him out there, though. I guess
Yeah, he's your best fielder. I guess I don't know what to tell you.
I don't know.
You find somebody.
Yeah, if you look up that list, if you go on Baseball Reference and look up the list, it's all old guys. So I don't know if they were scoring it weird, or maybe because they didn't have a glove, or the glove was no good. I don't know what the problem was, but a lot of those old guys had a lot of errors, a lot. Even the big guys, Honus Wagner, guys like that. So
that's also I just don't think everybody at every position was as talented. Maybe the first baseman couldn't scoop the ball as well, or the guy at second base didn't catch the ball that well, and it cost you a couple extra errors, right?
Yeah,
you don't
it's
get
not
saved as much.
Yeah, it's true. It's not like these guys we're watching now are freaks of nature, really.
Yeah, almost everybody at every position, could win a Gold Glove.
Yeah, exactly. So that's Herman Long. So
that's
jeez Louise.
Yeah, a long way from a good fielder.
Sure, yeah, hear that.
But I just thought that was pretty impressive, so I wanted to bring that up.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it for the week. We'll have another Aaron Judge update. I don't know if we really need to be updating on Pujols anymore unless he goes absolutely berserk in a game or something. He got his 700, good for him. Talked about it well enough here. Judge is still on track, and you know everyone's been waiting, maybe except Red Sox fans or people that love Roger Maris, I guess, are not watching to make sure he doesn't do it, but. So that's going to be the focus, and if anything else pops up, there's not really huge, the NL East is still up for grabs, and, that NL wildcard is still a little bit up for grabs. So other than that, there's really no races, Other than that, it's kind of just let's coast in the playoffs.
It's hanging out to the wild card series start, and all hell breaks loose.
Yeah, so with that, I don't really have anything else, so if you want to wrap this one up, unless you got anything else, works for me.
No, that's all I got.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening. You can catch this podcast on Apple Podcasts as well as Google Podcasts and Spotify. You can listen on our regularly updated YouTube channel as well as our website, screwball.podbean.com. You can follow me on Twitter at RealMikeLepre. You can follow me on Instagram at Mike Lepre.
And you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at FDubs10.
You can follow our official Screwball Twitter at ScrewballPod. You can follow our official Screwball Facebook at ScrewballPod. No E in Screw. And that's it from us, guys. We'll see you next week.
Yep. Take care.